Greetings YouTube and welcome to the Blue Corner. As you can tell here, I have my Cardfight Vanguard deck profile and it is going to be on the Dragonic Kaiser Crimson deck that I've been playing around with as of late. Because I did not want to wait until this guy was available on Cardfight area to playtest with, so I made proxies and I got in games IRL. Couldn't get as many of them on camera as I wanted, but I did get enough to have at least a decent opinion of this guy as is. Bear in mind, at the time of this video being posted, that not a whole lot of the set has been leaked that this guy is in BTG02. All we know is that this guy is in there, there's an Eradicator, Damage on Flipper, and there's something called Jaggy Shot Dragoon, which I would not run in here. So let's get down to this. This is basically an updated version of Vermilion.deck, and because of this guy, Vermilion.deck has become okay. I wouldn't say it's better than Knucklebuster. I think that's probably the strongest Narukami variant. Granted, this is before knowing what else is in here, i.e. G units. Maybe we'll get a version of Blade Master, which is when you on stride it, kill something. So who knows what we're going to be getting for supporting cards. But as it is though, for the starter, I am going to be running Spark Kid Dragoon. I considered fighting Draco Kid, and I did play around with him, and he's nice for that one time where you can in fact kill 4 rear guards with Vermilion's Limit Break. But I prefer this guy and his ability to consistently get to grade 3s, or at least help you get to grade 3, because when you use this guy, it's because you haven't drawn the grade 3, and this guy at least gives you a chance to either get the grade 3 or get a deck shuffle so that you can potentially draw into the grade 3, which has been my philosophy with these guys for a long time. So, yeah, you don't get to be able to wipe away more cards for Counterblast with this guy, but at the very least you are able to get to grade 3s, not only so that you can ride them, but you can also pitch them up for striding. And then the main card of the deck, Dragonic Kaiser Crimson, Legions with Dragonic Kaiser Vermilion, and when you do that, he becomes base 22,000 power during your turn, and he has 2 effects. The most important one is his Limit Break, which is unique for a Legion, and that is, you can target one of your Vanguards. Once this turn, when you would activate your Limit Break, you have no cost to pay. That's how I'm gonna say it. Like, there's a more when they try and describe it, it's a bit more. But yeah, long story short, he makes it so that the first time you use Vermilion's Limit Break, you pay no counterblast, which is really nice because it turns him into a free +2 every single turn. Vermilion's Limit Break gives you 2,000 power and the ability to attack the front row simultaneously, meaning your opponent can't intercept because their rear guards are also being attacked. And that 2,000 power is pretty helpful, as it's allowing you to swing for 24. This guy's second ability is Soul Blast 1, gain 2,000 power. That puts him at 26 then. Hey, that's a magic number. It also allows you to run less Vermilions in your deck because after you Legion and you ride over this thing, the Vermilion will be in your soul. You just blast it out, and then shuffle back in 3 and put the Vermilion that's in your soul back in the Legion. Thus, you only need to run 2 Vermilions in the deck. I'd like to run 1, but I just know I'm going to damage check one of these things, and then the entire deck gets screwed over, so I'm just running 2. Vermilion himself is definitely not as good of a ride anymore as he used to be, especially if you do not have AGCOM, because then he's just a vanilla until you hit the 4 damage, and you don't want that. At the very least, though, if you are forced to ride this thing and you have like an extra copy in hand, you can just discard it for stride and try and dig into this. And that's kind of the philosophy I'm taking with the grade 3s, is if I'm not playing this guy, then I'm going to run grade 3s that will be good stride fodder so that I can at least get to this guy. Given that we don't know what else is in this set, I have to make do with some other grade 3s, and in particular I'm going to go with this guy. This is Brawler, Shotgun Blow Dragon. He's from Fighter Selection 2014, whoops. And he's a Legion with Military Brawler, Lise, and his ability is when you Legion, Counterblast 2, your opponent chooses 2 of their rear guards and kills them. And then after this effect resolves, if you have more rear guards than your opponent, he gains a crit. So he has the potential to kill your opponent because extra critical attacks, when your opponents have 3 damage, always run the risk of, oh, I damage checked a trigger, I'm at now +3 critical, so you take 3 damage, oh, you're dead. And he also has the ability of, if you attack with him and you control more rear guards, he gains +2,000 power. So this is my backup Legion, allows me to just put more triggers back in the deck, but for all I know, I'll just get like good stride units, or good stride fodder, or something like Dragonic Blade Master for Kagero, and he may be dropped entirely. But the grade 2s, it's pretty simple. 4 12k attackers, 4 military brawler Lise. He gains 3 whenever you put a unit into the drop zone and your Vanguard is in Legion. This includes Vermilion's Limit Break and also Death Sight's sniping ability. So he can potentially get plus 6,000, plus 9,000. He'll swing for big numbers. And then speaking of Death Sight, I'm running 3 of him because he's really good in here now. Free counterblasts for Vermilion means you can now use your counterblasts on this guy to pick off back row rear guards, which is something that this deck has a problem trying to do. Fighting Draco again also allows you to do that, and that's the one reason why I would consider running him, is being able to hit off back row. That is the one thing that Knuckle Buster will always have over Vermilion, is being able to hit back row units. Picking off boosters is really important, as I've noticed a lot of the grade 2s your opponent plays, it's nice to kill them, but really, what are you killing? Like, a lot of the good grade 2s have on-call effects, so they've already paid for themselves the moment you put them into play. And they're just 9Ks. The only grade 2s you really want to kill are 12k attackers, which there's just really only 4 of in a deck. So that's just something I've also noticed too. End slight discussion. For the grade 1s, 4 perfect guards because I don't like Quintet Walls and Harakami. 4 Limit Break enablers, Draco Kid. This guy, when he's in play, if you can use your Limit Break when you're at 3, rather, you can use your Limit Break 4 if you're at less than 4 damage. So this allows Vermilion to start thunderbolting the moment you play him, even if you're at 1 damage. If you have, or rather, let me rephrase that. You can start thunderbolting with Crimson in play if you're at 1 damage. If you're a Vermilion, then you have to wait until you're at 3 damage. But still, he's very important to the deck. And then for the other grade 1s, this is where I deviated a little bit. I am running 2 copies of Threatening Brawler Kome and 2 copies of Ceremonial Bonfire Eradicator Caster. Both of these guys, when you play them, allow you to discard a card and draw 1 if your opponent has X rear guards in play. These 2 do 2 things. Number 1, they set up your drop zone for Legion. They filter through your deck so you can get to your win condition. And they're decent substitutes for if you don't have a Tom for Baller arcs, which is my case. I don't have arcs. If I could, I'd run them in here as arc gains 3k whenever you put something into the drop zone, much like Lise. So you would basically have a column of arc plus Lise, which is basically 9 plus 7 plus 12. 26 plus 12, that's a 28 column. That's really good, actually. But this isn't too bad either. A 7k behind a Lise that's plus 6 is 22, so that's still a decent number. But obviously, it's not 28. And they're running out the grade 1s, 2 copies of Rising Phoenix. This guy's been staple in Narukami since set 6. Like, I don't really need to explain why Rising Phoenix is good in here. And then for the triggers, standard ratios, 8 crit, 4 draw, 4 heal. I don't like YOLOing with the 12 crits in here. Narukami need the draw power. Draw triggers are just so important in here. I might actually cut one of the crits out in order to put in more draws, because you don't have good hand advantage in this deck. This deck is a bit weak defensively. In fact, it's very easy for your opponent to just go overwhelm you, and you're like, well, shit, now I gotta try and play catch up. This deck is at its best when your opponent is not committing a whole bunch of cards to the board because they don't want to lose it to Vermilion's Thunderbolts. More importantly, they will end up basically attacking with only 1 rearguard column in your Vanguard, which allows you to use less cards in hand to guard, because if you end up having to burn your entire hand to guard, you're going to have problems building back up a hand in order to attack with. Whereas variants like Paladins, they can just generate a whole board, Kagero, or have a ton of draw power, a lot of easy ability to waste a plus. Not to mention Kagero have the ability to restand, which is the most OP skill in all of Vanguard, in my opinion. I will make like a top 10 list of most powerful skills in Vanguard, and you know for a fact that restanding is at the top. Everything that can restand consistently is usually a really good deck. See Revengers, Phantom Blaster Abyss is the only reason why that deck is a thing right now. I'm just gonna say that. And that's pretty much it for the deck. I'm not going to show you guys my G-Zone because really it's just 2 copies of Harmonix Messiah. We're going to get 2 G units in this set. I know it. And one will be one that you flip a copy of itself face up from the G-Zone to do amazing things, and then one will be like if this unit hits retire or something, which will be a good pressure card. And hopefully we'll get, like, again, our version of Chrono Jet Dragon that I can run over these guys, and then it would just basically be if I stride, I either Legion or I stride, and then just take it from there. So that's all I really have to say on this deck. It's definitely a load of fun to play. Got a lot of nostalgia out of running Vermilion deck again. Will it be enough to compete in the format when this thing comes out? That's a very good question. It largely depends on what else is in the set. As is, though, yeah, it's definitely fun being able to Thunderbolt every turn. Like, if you're playing against a deck that can't regenerate its board, like Aqua Force and Nova Grapplers, like those cards have to commit cards from hand in order to make their big plays, you will probably have a fairly good time against them. Paladins, not so much. That being said, I hope you guys enjoyed watching this. And here's hoping to a good year of Vanguard in general. I mean, this is going to be the year where we finally match up to the OCG with simultaneous set releases. It's going to have to wait until summer, but we're going to get there. And that's something that I'm looking forward to. And yeah, that's it. So hope you guys enjoyed this. Until next time, this is BlueStar99, jacking out.